Hey y'all, I'm Jerdy, and in this video we're going to go over how to defeat Alexei the Beastlord and the goodest boy, Sir Dornel, in the Scarlet Enclave raid in Season of Discovery. Now, this can be either the 3rd, 4th, or 5th boss between this encounter, Solastrasa, or Mason the Echo. And in my opinion, this is actually the easiest encounter in the entire raid, especially if they don't nerf or fix what we call the barn strat in this fight. I'm not going to make this video too long because it really isn't that hard, so let's break it down. So if you've done the 4 Horsemen or Ebon Rock and Flame Gore in Season of Discovery, this has the same mark or brand mechanic. The difference is it only targets the 5 closest players to that specific boss, meaning you only need 10 of your smartest players to deal with the main mechanic of this encounter. And then besides that, the only 2 real mechanics you have to deal with is a frontal that Sir Dornel casts called Wild Aperture, and then traps that can be avoided, but when hit, cause giant fire swirlers in the ground to pop up. But again, that mechanic can be avoided by just not hitting the traps. Outside of that, Alexei and Sir Dornel only have a few mechanics that they individually cast. The latter, Mr. Bear, has a stomp that'll stun players for 3 seconds, and then his Wild Aperture mechanic, which we've already gone over. Alexei will cast Entangling Shot, a root which is telegraphed by a green circle you have to get out of, and Rending Slash, a cleave ability that should only hit your tanks. So now let's talk about the brand mechanic and the strategies on how to handle it. First, let's go over what they're called. Alexei's is called Enkindle and deals fire damage, whereas Sir Dornel's is called Innervate and deals nature damage. What's different and more dangerous about this version versus 4 Horsemen or Ebon Rock and Flame Gore is that this also deals damage per second, roughly around 400. So unlike the former versions of this, we're going to always want to swap after 1 stack, because even when you swap at 1 stack, you're still going to have a lingering stack from the previous mark, meaning you're taking 800 damage per second for a little bit. Unless you're really trying to parse, there's no reason to not just swap after 1 stack. So now let's go over a couple of ways you can do this mechanic. Remember, since this only targets the 5 closest players to that boss, you don't need to separate these 2 that far, or at all really. The first option is assigning your groups to your tanks. And after 1 stack, both groups will meet in the middle while the tanks taunt swap and go to the opposite side. However, I will admit, even though this is the strat my guild does, it is inferior in my opinion to the second strat I'm going to go over right now. The second strat is that your melee stay in the same spot the entire time, but your tanks meet in the middle, the taunt swap, and then go back to their original spot. In my opinion, I like this strat better because it puts your DPS at less of a risk of getting hit by Rending Slash, that deadly cleave. Now for your ranged DPS and your healers, let's talk about the barn strat. So Alexei remains stagnant before the first pull. If you wipe or engage him, he'll start patrolling around the latter part of New Avalon. So for the barn strat, a hunter can pull and feign, or I think I have Kilrog works, I haven't tested it out myself, to start and reset the encounter to get him to patrol. Once he's away, you can have all your range stack up on the barn where the encounter should start, and when he comes back and you start the encounter, because you're up there, you cannot get hit by Wild Aperture, and you will completely eliminate the fire trap mechanic because they'll be casted underneath the barn. If one of your 10 dealing with the brand mechanic does die, then somebody will have to jump down from the barn and take their spot. Now, my guild doesn't do it this way because I was really assuming that this was unintended and was going to get patched out or hotfixed, but so far it hasn't. But if it does, just spread out around the encounter to spread out the wild fissure and to easily see the traps and the fissure on the floor. Make sure to assign backup players in case one of your 10 smartest raid members dies. For tanks, I highly recommend having on your tier 3 2 set for those guaranteed taunt hits. You really don't want a taunt to miss or resist, or it can screw up the stacks and be fatal to your raid. When taking Alexei, be careful as the timers on Entangling Shot, the root, and his Cleave Rending Slash can line up pretty close. So when you're repositioning, make sure your melee are still behind the boss. When taking the bear, be mindful that he can cast a Wild Aperture on you. So from just a personal experience, make sure you're not too close to the barn where you can't see your character or that can kill you. Once you and your other tanks start getting comfortable with the taunt swaps, try experimenting how close you can get the bosses together so all your DPS can cleave. At least keep the bosses within 10 yards so your warlocks can cleave for sure. Like I said earlier, this is the easiest encounter in the entire raid, and all you have to do is just have your monitor on, have your eyes open, and if you see something on the ground, move out of the way. And if they don't nerf or hotfix the barn strategy, then over half your raid completely ignores 2 of the main mechanics, and you completely eliminate the trap mechanic from the entire encounter. Leave a like and a comment down below if you found this video helpful. As always, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Follow me on twitch.tv/dirtyjd, and I'll see y'all in my next video covering Mason the Echo.